Joining me live now is Judo Bank Chief Economic Advisor and EQ Economics Managing Director Warren Hogan. He joins me here in the studio. We saw inflation above expectations, still high, and this really puts an interest rate rise in the frame just before the May budget.
Well, it certainly does, and I think markets are pretty much priced for a May hike. There's at least one hike fully priced, probably by the middle of the year. The unusual thing was the market was saying there's no way they're going in March, in 2 weeks. And I don't think the discussion last night changed that. But the number yesterday should have, because it just highlights that inflation is going only one way, and that's up and away from their target. And their interest rate is still 0.5 percentage below where it was at the peak, which to they admit that was an experiment, and it's an experiment that it didn't work when it comes to inflation, because they never got inflation under control. So I just think their thinking's they're a little bit apathetic. They're certainly not taking on the inflation. We know the unemployment's low, and I think the governor last night reinforced that they're being patient and gradual, but there's a time for that, and there's also a time to get on top of it. And I think most Australians facing 6 years of above inflation target and forecast for that to happen for another 2 years want them to do something more concerted to get this under control.
So you essentially argue that this is not the time for patience. There should be way more rate rises than forecast this year.
Well, I think the governors and others are describing it as patience in light of uncertainty. I think there's too much, they're projecting way too much uncertainty. I mean, we know that the economy is recovering. We know that once economies are on an upswing, they stay on an upswing. Someone once said, economies don't die of natural causes, they die of interest rate rises.
But also this tariff stuff that happened just a couple of days ago, you know, that proves that there still is an uncertainty in the global economy. Whilst Trump's in office, there is uncertainty. I know the markets look through it, but central banks don't seem to.
Well, this central bank isn't, but I would argue that that gives you even more onus to get inflation under control, because uncertainty on top of the fact inflation's not in control, makes it even harder for good business decision making, for households to know what they're doing. We are in a world of massive change. We saw that confirmed with the Nvidia results.
Let's talk about those. Yeah, let's talk about those, absolutely, because we see America have not as big a productivity problem as us here in Australia.
They have a productivity success story.
They do, but I wouldn't say, you know, they're totally on top of productivity, but mostly it is down to this AI boom. Absolutely. That's where they're getting their productivity gains from. Nvidia, the results are stunning once again. We talk about a bubble, but again, revenue, sales and their forecasts are all up. The market, their shares are up, I think 3% in out of hours trading. What does that tell us about where we need to be in the economy right now?
Yeah, so the results are stunning. Their revenues last year were like almost 20% of Australia's income. I mean, this is real. If anyone needs...
Say that again.
Their total revenue for Nvidia was around 15 to 20% of Australia's total GDP.
Yeah, that's more than most small countries.
Yeah, and the fact that this one company at the moment is capturing that value doesn't mean it's not going to spread. For us in Australia, this should be another signal that we have a huge investment requirement in our private sector to refit our economy with this technology, to get the productivity that's going to get people's living standards going. Another reason, A, for the government to show a bit of self-control with their spending, and B, for the RBA to get on top of inflation. This concern that our economy could topple over at any time on the next rate hike is just way too a defensive mindset for the opportunity that presented before our country and our nation and the people of Australia, that if we miss it, we're going to lag the rest of the world, both in terms of technology and living standards.
Are we missing it?
We are missing it at the moment, in my view. Compared to the success we've had in the last 40 years, we are not making the same forward-looking, forward-leaning decisions as a nation, and therefore businesses are being held back that we did then, because we're doing something else. We're trying to spread the wealth, we're trying to tax more, and we're trying to spend more. We're trying to get government to solve problems, just as we're seeing this incredible technology that's one of the biggest that's ever come through for humanity, which is the prospect of raising living standards beyond anything we've ever known and solving problems that I think we don't even know what the problems are yet.
Well, I agree with most of what you've said in terms of government not moving quickly enough on AI. We've got all this kind of infrastructure that doesn't seem to be doing much. But I think there are examples, not enough examples, but of the private sector, instead of going, oh no, all these jobs are going to be lost, they're going, actually, this is how we can reskill our workforce and actually use AI and actually make our workforce better. CBA is a good example of that just this week.
Yeah,
Are many others doing that though?
Oh, well, every business I speak to, and that's not just these big listed companies, they can't find staff. So they don't have a excess labour problem. And of course, what the challenge with this technology is that yes, there will be displacement of jobs, but mainly it's going to be changing jobs. So the emphasis on reskilling and reorientating our workforce is high. That's the role the government can play. It can help business to fund that reorientation and reskilling of the workforce. It will happen. It's just the old story, the easy way or the hard way. We are a very pragmatic people that prove for centuries how good we are. This is the opportunity that's sitting here right now that we've got to jump on. And I just don't think our macro and government settings are right to make the most of it.
I'm with you. Cannot talk about this enough. Warren Hogan, lovely to see you.